Peace. How's everybody doing? We're going to get this started. Might be an unusual topic, but well, hey, it is where the channel might be going. Hoping everybody is well and will be better. Yes, peace. How's everybody doing? This is your brother and your friend, Yeshaya Israel. Now, this may be an unusual topic, an unusual matter to sit there and speak on. Paul the Mafia guy, what can we gather? Now, I am open to constructive criticism. My number is 908-587-4841. I am not, while loving history, the biggest historian once it comes down, say, to the Mafia thing. I watched a couple of videos. I watched a couple of movies. I've read a little here and there on it. But what I would like to say is this. First, this date, December 16th, 1985, is the anniversary of the guy Paul Castellano's death. Now, for those who do know, he was the successor of the guy Carlos Gambino, who started what they call the Gambino family. This is public knowledge. Paul Castellano dealt, believe it or not, with black people in business. Did you know that in Harlem? With the drug trade? That's been talked about. Now, what can we gather from that? This date, December 16th, 2024, makes 39 years since his death. He was killed in Manhattan by a place called Spark Steakhouse, which is over by 46 or so street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue area, which is, for those who know or care, on the east side of Manhattan. It was around this time, too, around between 5 and 6 p.m. Him and his driver were put to death. by the orders of, they say, this person or that person. That's not the point of this particular speech in this. What can we gather? Why did they who put him to death did it? According to some, it was because he was not, quote, going by the rules of what their organization was said to be about. That he was having the things that they would have been about being sold to others instead of, quote, keeping it in house, if you will. Correct me if I'm wrong in that particular matter. So, looking at that, for instance, what can say we gather in that particular matter? When you are about something, and no, family, I am not trying to condone the acts that this person was doing. No more than Denzel Washington, who played Frank Lucas, was attempting to condone those kind of acts in the movie American Gangster. What I want to convey to the family, far and large, is when you are about something, be about something. Don't be wishy-washy in it. Don't sit there and defecate on the people that's about who's supposed to be your team, if you will. One hand washing the other with clean soap. Not like people been saying about, no disrespect to him as a person, that guy Castellano putting his hands in both his hands in it and taking and not distributing the things out to the quote crew. Now, mind you, what these guys were all about was not upright. It was not righteous. And those who tell you the stories about this just goes to show you that. But what can we gather is that in any kind of endeavor, righteous or wicked, and we're supposed to choose the righteous, there are consequences to certain things. When you are saying that you are part of an organization, that you are spearheading an organization, that you are taking over an organization in the name of someone, and then you don't do right by the people that's under you, your underlings, if you will, they are going to detest you. That's what, taking it into history, that's what happened with Rome. When the Huns and the Ostrogoths and the Vandals were able to sit there in the 5th century AD, go into Rome and do what they did, is because the senators of Rome were not treating the people right. Everyone who was not voting for Kamala and everyone who was not voting for Trump stated things that Kamala or Trump did or state. So I want to say this sidebar, if we will. I intend to change, not deviating from the matter, but I am attempting to kind of change some of the format and how the channel has been going in certain cases. And what do I mean by that? It is not about debate purposes, but enlightening purposes. It is not about trying to make someone look bad or dry snitching or disrespecting or trying to humiliate. In this particular speech, I'm trying to reach out to my friends, my family, the people online and offline who's watching this now or will be online and watching later. That even people in their wickedness, when they do wicked in their wickedness, people don't respect that. That is the genre of this particular kind of presentation. Now, this may not be for everybody, and I didn't tag nobody, and not to sound mean or anything of that kind of sort. But when you know what your role is, what your duty is, what your mission is, then follow in that particular light. Now, again, this is not going to be long. The guy, Castellano, was killed December 16th, around this time in 1985, 39 years ago from this date in New York. And not many people were really feeling him in that particular case. Not to shame the man, he's not here to speak for himself. His marriage didn't work, wasn't doing right in the home with the maid or whatever like that people was talking about. But what I want to state is the way he went out, he left a bad name in many people's mouths. So again, what can we gather in that particular case asking you to subscribe. My number's there, 908-587-4841. If you see that, all right. This is a picture of the guy. Again, this is not about race per se, because the kind of wickedness that they were into, they were involving black people in their wickedness. He was associated with people that were top narcotics traders and dealers in Harlem in the 1970s. People who, quote unquote, worked for him spoke about how sometimes people try to make him look like a certain kind of hero and then became victim when he ordered 10 or more people to be put to death. So this family is what we want to talk about in this and close out, if we will. What can we gather? Paul Castellano, born 1915 or something like that, and then killed when he was 70 years old in 1985. Did robberies, committed murder. And the people that he was associating with, he undid the quote unquote, I will never fix my mouth to say good, but quote unquote constructive work that his predecessor, Carlo Gambino, did. He kind of changed what that was about and then looked down on the people that were his underlings. And so, to my understanding from what I've seen and read, they rose up and then they had him assassinated in their world, or we might just say killed in the regular world, if we will. The mayor at that time was Koch. Mayor Koch. I remember him, and I actually remember the night that guy Castellano was killed. I was 5 years old when that happened. I'm 44 now, but I was 5 years old when that happened. And it was all over the news. All over the news. The people with the FBI on YouTube are now saying that they was getting their beepers because that's when the beeper thing was popular. Cellular phones were not very popular back in the 1980s by today's standards, if we will, right? And his death was during the timing of what they was talking about, the commission with the mafia families, where they were all going to be put on trial. Some of them were convicted and got life sentences, if you will. But he got a death sentence. And what do we want to point out? Not that anybody of us is going to live forever. But the reason why people who were associated with his death stated is because of the things that he did. And mind you, he and the people who put him to death were all wicked. See, I got to say that, and I mean no disrespect intended, for two reasons. One, I know there's people like, yo, Yeshaya seems to be changed on this platform. No, we want to present for the house of Israel and others a way that we can bring it to the life of the people. When you read sidebar in our book in the scriptures, it talks about the sons of the Assyrian kings who were wicked, and they were not of the house of Israel. So when we get into the history of the book, when we get into the history of the world, we begin to sit there and see how the connection can sit there and be. As opposed to not trying to be disrespectful, the regular step one, then you step back and the service must go this kind of way. This is not what this platform, Dan Knight Publications, is about. But now getting back into this particular matter right here, if we will, what can we gather? Don't be about things half-assed. Don't be lukewarm. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't be sometimey. Excuse me, don't bullshit. And we know we're supposed to choose righteousness. So we don't walk in the ways of Castellano and those other guys like that. Now, for those who already know what side to pick, Be 100 about that. Don't be wishy-washy with it. Work on the things that you got to sit there and work on. Be approachable. Be teachable. Don't be like they say this guy Castellano was when people could not approach him like that. So whether, not trying to sound funny on this platform, whether you're black or white and you might be hearing this, learn from that kind of matter, but know to choose the righteous way to go. You all have a good evening. Take care. And thank you. Okay, I have a comment. Let me see. Okay. Israel Young Lion says shalom. Same to you. Thank you for that. All right. You all take care. Thank you.